The 1980s was a bold decade. Neon colors, big hair, shoulder pads, and music videos that defined a generation. Amid this vibrant cultural explosion, one seemingly simple object became a worldwide fashion phenomenon and redefined the watch industry. I'm talking, of course, about the Swatch watch. Swatch wasn't just a timepiece. It was a revolution on the wrist. Affordable, stylish, and irreverent, Swatch turned watches from status symbols into personal expressions. But the story behind the Swatch craze of the 1980s is as much about survival as it is about style. Before Swatch, Swiss watchmakers were in serious trouble. In the 1970s, the quote-unquote quartz crisis rocked Switzerland's centuries-old watchmaking tradition. Japanese companies like Seiko had introduced reliable, low-cost quartz watches, undercutting the intricate and costly mechanical Swiss timepieces. As consumer preferences shifted, the Swiss watch industry, once dominant, lost over 60% of its global market share. Tens of thousands of jobs were lost. Enter Nicholas Hayek, a Lebanese-born Swiss businessman with a vision. In 1983, Hayek helped spearhead the creation of Swatch, a portmanteau of second watch, under the newly formed Swatch Group. The idea was bold. Produce a line of inexpensive, colorful, high-quality quartz watches that appealed to the youth market. Swatch would be more than a watch. It would be an accessory, an attitude, a collectible. Swatch watches made their debut in March 1983, with a dozen models priced at around $30 to $50. Unlike traditional watches made of metal and leather, Swatch watches were constructed from lightweight plastic, and they came in a kaleidoscope of colors and patterns. They were waterproof, shock-resistant, and uniquely Swiss in both engineering and precision. What set Swatch apart was its blend of affordability and artistic flair. It wasn't just about telling time, it was about telling the world who you were. From wild graffiti designs to minimalist black and white themes, Swatches appealed to punks, preppies, skaters, and fashionistas alike. People began wearing multiple swatches on each arm to coordinate with different outfits, creating a whole new category of wearable pop art. Swatch's marketing was as groundbreaking as the product itself. The company leaned heavily into youth culture, aligning itself with fashion, music, and art. It sponsored ski events, dance competitions, and avant-garde art shows. The message was clear. Swatch was for the bold, the creative, the trendsetters. One of Swatch's smartest moves was its use of limited editions and artist collaborations. Starting in the mid-1980s, Swatch began releasing watches designed by contemporary artists, including Keith Haring, Kiki Picasso, and Mimo Palladino. These watches became instant collectibles, blurring the lines between fashion and fine art. Suddenly, owning a Swatch wasn't just trendy, it was cool, exclusive, and even investment-worthy. Swatch also played with seasonal collections, treating watches like fashion, something to be changed often. This idea of watches as wardrobe accessories, not permanent luxury items, was revolutionary at the time and helped create an entirely new market segment. By 1987, Swatch had sold over 50 million watches worldwide. They were everywhere, from high school lockers in California to fashion boutiques in Paris. Hollywood stars and pop icons sported Swatches. In movies, TV shows, and music videos, Swatch became synonymous with youthful rebellion and vibrant self-expression. The brand was so successful that it even spun off sub-labels and themed collections, such as the Swatch Pop series, which featured oversized faces and detachable bands, and the Swatch Chrono, which brought a sportier, high-tech feel to the lineup. Swatch stores, too, became cultural hotspots. Their bright, fun, almost toy-like retail displays invited browsing and impulse buying. The act of choosing a Swatch was itself a personal statement, and collectors were born overnight. Limited edition models like the Velvet Underground or Jellyfish, a transparent model from 1985, are still prized among collectors today. Swatch didn't just save the Swiss watch industry, it reinvented it. By 1990, the Swatch Group had become the world's largest watchmaking company, owning not only Swatch, but high-end brands like Omega, Breguet, and Blancpain. The profits from Swatch allowed the group to reinvest in Swiss horology's luxury side while continuing to dominate the mass market. Other companies scrambled to follow suit. Competitors like Fossil and Casio leaned into more expressive, fashionable timepieces. The very idea that watches could be playful, colorful, and affordable reshaped consumer expectations and forced the entire industry to adapt. Though digital technology and smartphones would later challenge the necessity of wristwatches, the Swatch legacy remains vibrant. Today, Swatch still thrives, embracing its heritage while pushing forward with modern innovations, such as the Swatch X Omega Moon Swatch collaboration in the 2020s, which sparked lines outside stores around the globe. But at its core, the Swatch of the 1980s remains a symbol of creativity, reinvention, and pop culture fun. It took a dying industry and turned it into an art form. It taught us that timekeeping didn't have to be serious or boring. It could be expressive, playful, and deeply personal. In conclusion, the Swatch trend of the 1980s wasn't just about fashion or function. It was about transformation. It changed the way we viewed watches, redefined Swiss craftsmanship for a new generation, and injected a blast of Technicolor into a traditionally staid industry. In a decade obsessed with making statements, Swatch made one of the boldest. Time is what you make it.